make sure everyone's having a good time as well. So that means, if someone's looking for a match, I'll jump on for the 20 minutes or so it takes to play a game. Might as well. That's player retention and things like that.
I'm going to have to apologise to Robin and Cal because the first few minutes of that, I think I wasn't actually streaming us. So people miss Robin screwing around with his camera, and so hey everyone, Cal's online with us. Cal's down there, he's here. Apologies to everybody who's been waiting. Severe apologies to Cal and Robin. Something was going to go wrong tonight, and I thought it was going to be me, and it was.
I thought it was my camera. Actually, all of that faffing about. Nobody saw it.
And they missed out on all the secrets that I was
that is amazing, Cal. What you just told us. That's amazing.
People are saying we get some echoes. I did say before, but obviously we weren't streaming at the time, about telling me if there are any echoes. So I'll try and sort that out now. So can people still hear Robin and Cal? I don't think you'll hear anything, Robin. It'll be people online. It's making sure that you've got the right audio playing through. Cal's probably very aware of this. It didn't do this yesterday. We did try this yesterday and it was fine. So people please comment now. Still echoing? It's not when either don't talk. So is when either talk? Why do these things only ever happen? So you can't hear them at all now. I hate doing stuff online. It never works. I hate technology. I guess you can't hear either, Robin.
I can hear you, yeah. I can hear you.
What about now? Can anybody hear Robin and Cal?
Can anybody hear me?
Sorry, guys. Hello. If anything was going to go wrong, it was going to be this tonight.
I can't hear Cal now.
Okay.
Oh, I can. I did hear Cal. Sorry, Robin has feedback.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right.
Hear me and echo. That's interesting.
Robin has feedback.
Welcome to online streaming, where we spend the first 15 minutes figuring out audio tech and camera.
We're both echoing.
Under the guise of Underworlds Online, I am your new host, Callum, with no sound and no audio.
An infinite reaction loop. I'm apologising, guys. I'm trying to work out what the audio is here. Can Robin, you try something again now?
You want me to speak now? Hello? Am I still echoing? Am I echoing?
Not to me, but we'll have to see.
Jason feels like he's going, my camera's falling off.
It's just an absolute... Cal's thinking, why did I do this? Why have I done this?
Robin's good. I'm good, apparently. It's better. Whatever you've done, Pete.
Yeah. I'll just talk about...
I think that for some reason... Sorry. I think for some reason it was gathering both of your audios through one. So, I don't know why it was doing that.
Okay.
But hopefully now everything's okay. Robin says he's good. Andrew says perfect. Matt says success. That only took us like 15 minutes. That's it for tonight. Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Oh, I am sorry. Right. So hello, everyone. We've got Cal with us today from Still Sky Studios. We're going to start a little bit this again. Cal, so what is your official title there? I think we've done this joke already, but...
Yeah, so my official title is community manager, making sure everyone's having a good time, responding to people, showcasing the game. Some people would say communications manager, things like that. It varies from studio to studio, but here it's just making sure everyone's nice to each other, which, I mean, is impossible on the internet to make sure everyone's nice to each other, but, I can try my darndest. Try really hard.
Lovely here.
So it's basically taser wielder. Let's see how things go there. Matt has a bone to pick with you. Yeah, Matt, I was just telling them that maybe your last game didn't go so well that we just played. Apologies for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
look, I can't control crits.
But if you can, then I think the balance is perfect right now. So I think keep doing whatever it was doing for that game.
Yeah, Pete basically has about 3 years worth of crits ready to come in, so maybe that's what it was.
Just ready to explode. So we've got Cal along tonight. He is very generously come onto the channel and put up with all of our amateurness to talk about Underworlds Online. Give us maybe a little bit of information on what they're up to, giving you guys a chance to ask him any questions you might have about the game. Because obviously he wants to get you guys as interested in it and as excited about it as we all are. And obviously we want to try and get into our repertoire a bit as well. So, we'll try and try and make this a bit more of a semi-regular occurrence, maybe. Try and do it maybe once a month or something. We could get Cal along if he ever wants to come back again, and we can talk about what's going on and anything that he can talk about. Because obviously he's under some restrictions. He can't talk about everything. But he's here also to answer any questions you guys might have, because obviously he wants to engage with all of you lot just like we do. I think it's a bit accurate. Do you think?
Yeah.
Cal?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, obviously, for me, like coming into Warhammer Underworlds and the community has been really, really great. Honestly, before this job, I was working at other studios doing other like live operations game, and like from game to game, community varies. I'm very fortunate that Underworlds itself has like a big community dealing with its own tribulations and things like that. But everyone's been so nice and welcoming, and as I find my feet and talk to people and learn like the game and catch up and everything like that, and watching you guys and being a fan and being able to watch and listen to other podcasts and things like that, it's been really, really helpful just to learn more about the community and stuff. So doing something like this helps me with my job as well, being able to see what people want, what they want to hear, everything like that. And I can't be like give out all the information, but this is a means to be as transparent as possible, because sometimes people want to know how the sausage is made, sometimes people don't, but might as well have this as an opportunity to do that. Hey,
yeah, you obviously can't divulge all the ingredients in the special sauce, but maybe you can give a little indication every now and then. So we do have a few questions from our patrons, because we obviously give them a little bit of special inside track to ask a few questions. Nothing too dodgy in there at all, and also anybody who has any questions online can also fire any questions off, and we'll see if there's something that Cal can answer, and if not, then maybe we'll have to we'll just sidle around those ones and pretend that it never happened. But we'll see what comes up basically. So
yeah.
We'll also try and play a game in a minute. I figure if we run through some questions first, and then we'll see if we can jump online and then get a game going. People can watch that whilst we're having a bit more of a chat. So cool. The first question we've got, and this is one I actually wanted to ask before, is it's kind of a double question, is were you into GW in general before you got into this, and if so, or regardless of that, what was your favourite faction they do now across their entire range, Underworlds or AOS in general?
Yeah, cool. So my past with GW and everything is it's an odd one, mainly because like I've always been a bit of a nerd, more on the like video game side of things, being a child of the 90s. But Games Workshop and everything was something that was always in my peripheral. I grew up in like a rural country town, so we didn't have really a game shop or a hobby shop or anything like that. So then as I grew up and started moving towns, like I would see figures and things pop up everywhere, and I was like, what's this? Then during uni, I had one housemate who had Warhammer figures, and I was like, these are cool. But then it was tainted when he got paints all over like the room and stuff like that when we were moving out. And so we didn't get the bond back. I'm
a bad painter. How'd you get them all over the room?
Look, I don't know. I honestly don't. Like, they got them over the bed sheets and stuff. Like, they didn't, like, it was a poor house. So, like, we didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of, furniture and things. So, like, share house, completely understandable. But it was just like, okay.
Jackson
so it was a little bit stupid with that.
Yeah,
exactly. Just getting that blood spatter just right. But yeah, so then for me, it's been, again, mainly the video game side of everything. Like when Vermintide was happening, everything like that, I was, playing demos and jumping in with friends, playing things like that. So it's always been like adjacent. It hasn't been something that I fully dived into, but it's one of those things that if I had the time and money, I'd be able to, fully commit. And then like coming into this role, it was one of those things where I'm just like, oh, cool, I'm allowed to now. I can fully jump in. This is great. Obviously, then like jumping into the Age of Sigmar and everything like that was another big step. But we've got massive pile of books here in the office that we've been like, I'm allowed to just jump in and read. But obviously as well, being able to just read Shadespire as well, Mirrored City. I've been diving into that and listening to, the audiobooks and everything like that. So I really like the lore, especially with Shadespire, because it's got its own kind of rule set in that sense of just like nothing makes sense. And I love that chaotic energy. But yeah, and then coming in and enjoying like factions and stuff like that. Obviously for me, still kind of learning everything, but like if we're talking Underworlds right now, like I do kind of enjoy Wild Hunt at the moment, mainly because I like aggressive gameplay. And so like being able to be inspired on charge is great for me, mainly because I get to go in and make mistakes. But yeah, so that's kind of my history. Hopefully,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a few questions popping up in the channel as well already, so I figure we can try and see if there's any that we can answer quickly. Because some of them might just be yes, no, can't talk about that or something like that. So just looking through a few of the questions. Someone's asked whether this game's going to be available on an app on a smartphone at all because they don't have a PC, and I'm guessing that's going to be a well, you'll be able to say whether you can or can't answer.
Yeah, that's a very common question of whether or not we're porting to other platforms, or we have that in mind. At this stage, we are focusing on getting the game out on PC, making sure that it works, and I mean we're able to do that, which is great. As soon as we see how that's going, like hopefully with success of the game, we can potentially look at other ports, and if people are interested and there's demand for that. But yeah, like absolutely nothing against porting the game. It's still early days though, so we'll see how we go with that.
There's definitely a lot of people.
I do feel like it's
gone after you. Go
So I do feel like it's got massive potential to be on a more portable device, because it's something you can play on the train or when you're sitting somewhere, you've got a spare half an hour to play rather than having to do it on your PC or whatever. So I think it would certainly bring the game to a wider audience possibly.
Not that, and I mean, sorry, but yeah, it's like with the accessibility and everything like that as well. Like it's a lot of the gameplay is just one mouse like motion you can play. We want that to be accessible for most people, so it doesn't mean that you need to be using absolutely everything on the keyboard or anything like that, which some people prefer that kind of complexity, but for accessibility options, we just want to keep it to one kind of input at a time if possible, and have that option there.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that makes sense really, and if you spend your time trying to get it working on every platform first, then it's just never going to be finished. So better to get something out there first, and then look at the remainder once you've conquered the online market with this game.
Exactly.
Next questions we've got. What else we've got in here? Matt did also ask. He's got two here in quick succession. One, is there going to be a roadmap? And two, is there, and I think this is another common one, is there going to be a painter for the warbands, or will they be set colour schemes?
Yeah, so in regards to the development roadmap and such, we are working on one, and that will be out soon-ish. I've been told by my producer Nick that I can blame them for it. That's a joke. They work really, really hard. So yeah, no, something will be out soon. Obviously, we do already have a roadmap up that we released back in November, I think it was, of when we are thinking about dropping the free universal cards and things like that. And if that's subject to change, we'll keep that updated as well. And there was a second question that was the painter. Yeah. So at this stage, we've obviously implemented early access skins. And people will notice that it's just for a complete warband, you have the one set of skins. We're kind of sticking with that at the moment, just because we've then got the options of just being able to change a complete warband at once, have it all themed and look like unified and nice, which is kind of what I associate with Games Workshop as well. You know, you have kind of like a unified team. Then when it comes to like painting options, stuff like that, that's a lot of extra work, which like I don't think we'd be against in the future. But at this stage, like it's probably not going to be a feature that we're going to see anytime soon. Well, not within the next 2 weeks, say.
Yeah, Robin will completely disagree with you on the colour scheme. He likes painting his a rainbow effect every time.
Well, something like that. Yeah,
you get bored having to paint the same colours every time, don't you, Robin?
Yeah, I think it's nice to have. I did my fire slayers with different colour hair, so you can try to help you remember which one is which.
Those guys, though, because it's like naked hairy guy with axe or naked hairy guy with axe.
Yeah. Although stupidly, I set up my iron skulls with because you can tailor each one, can't you? So 2 of them were the traditional colour scheme, and the other 2 weren't, which was fine until I played somebody with iron skulls. So there were 6 yellow iron skulls and 2 not yellow, and I got totally confused as to what was going on.
So I think having a unified front in that sense will probably make it a little bit easier, but we'll see.
So somebody else has asked the question: do you have an ETA for the other war bands? Is that covered in a roadmap, or is that something that you can't really divulge at the minute?
Well, with warbands at this stage, so we do have warbands in the works at the moment. So we have some that we're going to be releasing warbands are going to be paid DLC in the future. So we'll probably be pushing that later towards either the end of early access or when we're out of early access. But yeah, so they are being worked on. We can't disclose that yet, but we've got some really, really cool, exciting stuff happening, which I wish I could tell you, but I can't. So
can you mime?
I came in going like, oh, I'll be fine. I won't divulge anything. I'm just like, I want to tell you all the things. Like, it's very cool, exciting
can't sort of mime anything.
Well, we won't tell anybody if you say.
Sorry, Robin.
I said we won't tell anybody if he says.
You can tell us. You're in the state. You're amongst friends here. So another question we got asked by one of our patrons was, he's dying to ask the question everyone obviously wants to hear, which is, when is the Eyes of the Nine coming out? But on a more serious note, do you... I'll accidentally delete the question before I finish reading it. Will you be introducing any kind of card restriction mechanics at all?
Yes, so obviously for us being back in Shadespire, back in Season 1 as well, pardon me, so we've got a lot of cards that we can work with that, and with that will come the banned and restricted cards and everything like that. So when we already have a sort of system in place with that. I think that people will be able to see it sort of where when you go into your card builder, it will tell you at this stage, like if you put, say, too many cards into your deck, when you select the top down, it will say whether or not this deck is legal for online play. So like as cards get implemented and as the metas change and stuff like that, we'll be keeping an eye on that, and we'll probably be sticking to the restricted and forbidden cards.
Cool. VJ asks, how does an Aussie get involved in the development of Underworlds Online? VJ is one of our Aussie friends.
Yes, as in, is that a question of how did we start this, or did they just want a job at the studio?
I think it was more how did you get involved in it? Really, it's really.
You're a long way from Nottingham down there.
Yeah, 100%. Well, so Seals Guy Productions is made up of like a team of developers who've already been working on a lot of Games Workshops and fantasy games in general. So a lot of the team is kind of comprised of from another company as well, Tin Man Games, who worked on the Final Fantasy series, like on some of the game books. Well, not Final Fantasy. What am I saying? That's completely wrong. No, but what's the Game Workshop series?
Fighting Fantasy.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Nearly there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brain's completely balked today. I haven't had coffee yet. So, so they've been working on that, and then a lot of the team worked on the Warlock from Firetop Mountain, that PC game and Switch game that was very big success for the company. And so, obviously, that with the miniatures and everything like that kind of came into this kind of idea of just like, oh, cool, like this is something that we enjoy doing, and we can really work within the structure of like doing miniatures and turn-based kind of combat. Like, what can we do with that? And so then here comes Warhammer Underworlds Online, and we just thought that it was such a cool premise. And a lot of people in the office were already playing Underworld, so it was just like, let's bring this to a wider set of people.
I was going to ask, I wondered if you guys had already been playing Underworlds, the tabletop version, beforehand, because I know obviously you were going to get into it once you were doing the online version, but I wondered if you were doing that beforehand as well.
Yeah, 100%. So again, I might take a photo of the wall later and maybe send it to you so you can see. But so we've got a, like, I don't know how many feet. It's probably like six or so feet of just a bookcase, and it's just filled with game books and Warhammer and miniatures and board games and tabletop games. And so whenever we can, whenever we have a free chance, we usually are playing Underworlds and just trying out different mechanics and things like that, and just getting amongst it. But for a lot of people, this is, a passion project that they've been working on for over 2 years. So yeah, you've got to have enjoyed the game and love the game to be able to do something like this.
Yeah. Did you? We've got a question from Matt. Did Games Workshop come to you, or did you approach Games Workshop with the idea for doing Underworld?
I think it's one of those things where it would have been a bit of like, looking at each other from across the room, going like, so what are you doing? I mean, I think, because I can't speak to this officially because I wasn't there in those earlier days. Okay. So I would have to ask Neil, but our CEO. But obviously, they already had a working relationship with Games Workshop doing the Fighting Fantasy series. So good relationship there, and just wanted to dive into it more.
Okay, the questions are coming thick and fast now. Valentin's asking, with the release schedule, are you looking to follow the whole history? So cards, restricted and forsaken list, and warbands, I guess, kind of, and then of the game sequentially from Shadespire to Nightvault to Beastgrave. So are you basically going to follow the release schedule of how Underworld has gone, or might you jump in with some Nightvault cards, or suddenly introduce magic, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, big question. But yeah, so we're obviously starting back at Shadespire. And yeah, I think the goal is for us to be releasing content as we go along and get up to Beastgrave and everything like that. Obviously, we've already played around with the release schedule a little bit, starting with Magor's Fiends and the Steel Hearts Champions as were our first two warbands that we were showcasing. So obviously we've got some freedom there that we're going to change it up a little bit, but otherwise we are aiming to be releasing kind of that sequence. But it might change up in ways you don't expect.
Cool. Looking forward to that.
Robin's keeping.
You're going to make eyes of the nose half decent.
I'm not sure they can cheat, Robin.
Okay. Well, it's a sort of question actually that did occur to me, and you may not be able to answer this. There are obviously, certainly if you take in the season 3 warbands, but there are definitely perceived weaker warbands. I'd say in the Chosen Axes probably have always suffered a little bit from struggling to inspire, and let's do in the Eyes of the Nine classically suffer from being killed really easily. Have you got any license to kind of beef them up a bit, or are you going to have to stick to their kind of base profiles as in the game?
So we don't want to be changing the game really when it comes to Underworlds. Like, the whole point is to kind of faithfully recreate the tabletop version. But that being said, that's why we're playing around with the universal cards for when those get released. So we can play with strategies a bit more there. Obviously, down the line, stuff will probably change. You get more like the tabletop version, and some people will feel that some warbands are weaker than others and not a lot of strategy or whatever. But yeah, it's just one of those things where sometimes it's the roll of the dice and it's hard to tell. But yeah, so we don't plan on doing any major changes to anything. Yeah, we're sticking to the tabletop version.
It'd be cool if at some point you could do like a trying to think what the word would be, a bit like a sandbox version. So you could play with someone else, say we're going to play a sandbox version. You could then agree to modify stats between you or things like that. So that kind of thing would be really funky. But obviously you couldn't do that in any kind of
like house rules,
a bit like that. So you couldn't actually do it in ranked play, but you could do like enter a sandbox game with someone, and then you can make changes, and it will go, these are the changes your opponent wants to make, and you can say yes to that or whatever it is like that. So.
I was sort of, my imagination was wandering off earlier today when I was thinking about this chat, and I was thinking we've often talked about the idea of I don't think Gazeworks will ever do, but like bringing in actual new heroes into the game. So like maybe to give the Chosen Axes a bit of a boost, they get a new character that you can swap out one of the other characters with, and that sort of thing would be easier in a digital version because there's no models and overhead in that respect. Not that I'm asking whether you're going to do that, but it would be a nice thing to imagine might happen. The sort of the game expanding and taking on a life of its own, a bit like Game of Thrones, when that kind of it started, the TV series started to get a life of its own, which is all fine till everybody started hating it.
That was fine till the last season, and then it all just went to pop. It wasn't any good.
Yeah. Look, we would all love to have our own creative control over the game and do what we would like. Like for me, after listening to all the lore and stories, like I really enjoy just story-based games in general. So for me, I like for something like this, I love to do campaign kind of things and but like get into the head of Severin and just play as Severin and only Severin with my big broadsword walking through the streets of Shadespire and kind of just meeting people along the way. But yes, like that's something that we obviously can't do right now, but we are exploring feedback and seeing what people want, right? And so something that we have had a lot of discussion about is just game modes. Obviously, a lot of people want different things because it is an online format, and naturally those questions are going to come up because people will want that kind of creative freedom. I'm not saying that we're restricted or by any sense. It's still just early days, and we want to see and bring this already really good tabletop competitive play to online. So I think it's definitely a good starting block and a good jumping off point.
Cool. Well, I think maybe one more quick question, and then if you're up for a game, Cal, we can jump on and see if you and I can hopefully come find each other online. But someone did mention just now, how have you got like find a friend set up or coming soon?
Oh yes.
So you did mention as well that you had another hotfix patch coming in soon. You wanted to sort of maybe list a few of the things that are incoming. So if you want to do that first, then we can jump into a game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a patch coming later on this week, and by this week I mean in the next few days, because for us here it's Wednesday. So pardon me. It will definitely hopefully be out before the weekend. But yeah, next few days. So we're taking, if you've seen our patch notes as well, you'll see that we list down like fixes and everything like that, but we also have little icons for some of the notes that were inspired or helped by the community through feedback and things like that. So obviously the biggest one has been inviting Steam friends. That's going to be in the next patch. So you'll be able to do 1v1s, keep your friends close, your enemies closer kind of situation. And be able to, so for you two, you'll be able to play against each other and only each other with Steam invites. Cool. We are also going to be implementing, and I don't think this has actually been announced yet, but in this next this next patch coming up, we'll have match codes. So what that means is that for people who are wanting to, you know, start their own tournaments and lobbies and things like that, you'll be able to, reach out to someone on Discord and be like, hey, I'm going to be using this code, you know, code 1234, and then someone else can match up against them if they're not Steam friends, for example. Yeah. So it's another way for more people to come together and play the game. And so, yeah, we're hoping that people will enjoy that because we think it's a good idea, especially for that competitive play. Another thing that we've got has been we've added an overlay button. So for a lot of people, we saw feedback of not really quite understanding the board and things like that. For experienced players like ourselves, you know, we know how all the hexes are put out and what are the summoning tiles and everything like that. For some people, the readability isn't really there. Especially if they're new. So it's something that you can toggle on and off, or you could just press one button and it will stay up. But it's essentially, think of it like a tactical overlay where you'll see all the tiles laid out with like a white border and objectives with green borders and such like that. And then the last one has been a fast mode. So fast mode is something that will help speed up games. So for some people, again, who might be a bit more experienced in wanting to, you know, plow through these games, fast mode will just quicken some of the animations and the play time between things. So for example, you know, if you've got your one of your Iron Skull boys running forward, by the time you get there, then you go in for the attack and then the dice will drop. Essentially, that's going to be one fluid motion where you just like, you'll run in and when you get to the dice will drop, roll. And so it just fastens all that up. But for some people, they might want to have a bit more, be able to, what's the word I'm looking for?
To experience the whole thing.
To kind of experience the whole thing, but also to maybe psych out the other player by going like, oh, what are they doing? What are they thinking? Maybe they've got a ploy that they don't want to play, everything like that. They can keep that option off as well. So those are just some of the improvements that we're putting in thanks to community feedback and everything like that. And we're really hoping that people will enjoy those kind of changes because it's really important for us, for people to be enjoying the game and playing the game as much as possible. So we want to show that we're really, really listening and taking things on board.
Awesome. It's interesting what you were saying about psyching out your opponent. I never quite know what's going on properly in the physical game when I'm playing. But today, when I had one card left, and I thought, I'm gonna pause a little bit just so that my opponent thinks, well, maybe I'm thinking about playing it. I couldn't play it at all. I can't remember what it was now, but I just paused a little bit, so he might have been thinking that perhaps I was wondering whether to play this card. Well, they probably didn't think that at all, but it's funny trying to psych out your opponents. I just want to say, when you were talking about the codes coming out, we got lots of positive comments, lots of exciting reception for that. Yeah, so
I would say now,
good.
Everybody
Fantastic.
watching, if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far and you're liking what you see, do hit that like button, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe. Cal, are you ready for us to try and jump into a game?
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. I'm just gonna read it up over here. Hopefully nothing goes terribly wrong. I'm running off my laptop at the moment, so just forgive me if things start going haywire.
No worries. And I've just switched. For everybody listening at home, I've just switched our scene. So if we've suddenly gone all horribly echoey again, do shout, and I shall try and fix that. Hopefully we're done. I'm ready to have a casual match when you are. So if you let me know when to hit casual match, then hopefully we'll match up for a game. And whilst we're playing the game,
I've got to check my decks. Hold on.
And everybody, this is where you got a patch now. You're like, I just need half an hour to install the patch.
Yeah. It's good. The one with ready for action and time trap.
And everybody watching at home whilst we're playing, feel free to keep asking questions. Robin's going to monitor the feed and check.
Throw questions at Pete and Ken.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready to hit casual when you are.
Okay, let's rock this then. 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, let's see what happens. And then all of a sudden it will be everyone else pressing it at the same time.
Everyone's like, I gotta get in there. So hopefully we'll find each other. I was trying to play a game earlier and there wasn't anybody around at that point, and I mentioned it on Patreon, and Matt was like, "Don't move." And then he must have just sprinted out the room.
Hey,
Yes.
there we go. Oh,
Ooh.
Skellies versus Skellies. All right.
Let's see how this goes then. Hooray, I've lost the first roll. I'm back to form.
Back to form, all good. See, I really don't like choosing board first, just because I just freak myself out, going like, I've got to think really hard about
The stress.
placements and everything. I'm promising I'm not screen cheating as well, just so you know.
That's a good point. Yes, yeah, you can see my screen. I could change that, but you know what? I trust you.
Yeah, less.
To be fair, though, I think if you could probably read what cards I've got from the feed that you're, you'd be doing well.
Yeah. What am I going to do? I mean, we're both going to do similar plays, I'm assuming.
Possibly, I might be going for an offensive play. I do like to take really ineffective builds and try and play with them, or as I like to call them, competitive.
Yeah, competitive stubbornness. I know it well. There's been multiple games, one that was definitely on stream as well, where I just, I didn't want to give up denial. I wanted it so bad.
So if anybody's got any questions whilst we're playing, because some people watching us now might not have seen the game being played, so if you've not seen it and you've got any questions, do ask and we can try and answer them at the same time. And like I say, shout in the channel. Robin's monitoring that one. So what cards have I got?
Yes, Rob, I think Cowie's watching the stream. He will know what's in Pete's hand. But that's okay, because Pete doesn't really know what he's doing anyway, so
yeah,
he's fine.
No, well, so I've only got the Skype overlay happening over here, and so because of the weird camera, it's just blurred out everything else on the screen, and like my face is clear, so like I actually can't see.
That's the
what you
security.
Okay.
There we go. That was completely intentional.
Can't see. That's actually how Pete sees all the time. Just blurs.
I remember playing a game once where we had a guest on the channel, and I was playing and Robin was watching, and Robin was looking at my cards, I was looking at my cards, and I sat there for ages umming and ahhing about what I was going to do, and I eventually went, screw it, I'm going to ignore my objectives, and I could just hear Robin sort of go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Robin said,
I can't see what's going on either. How's my day been?
Well, you should be able to watch my stream, Robin. You're just going to be about 30 seconds behind.
I really hope people weren't wanting to see high octane action right now, because as we know, skeletons are a little bit slow with their movement. So, like if we were smarter, we would have coordinated this. So then, we could have made it a bit more exciting. But I think skeletons are exciting.
I love skeletons. They're one of my first loves.
Yeah, I mean, you might have seen, if anyone's seen any of our previous streams, I made a big hype about the sepulchral announcement. We did an announcement stream for the announcement, and then I've got my mug that you'll see in a couple of videos where it's a little skeleton head with a helmet and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, look, I'm all about that spooky content.
I do love me sepulchral guards. I do love them.
Yeah, you were going to take them to the Grand Clash, the one we didn't go to because of the snow.
Because of the snow, yeah.
Yeah.
And on reflection, my deck would have been rubbish.
What's worse, sepulchral guard or the new Nurgle? Sepulchral guard.
Magic of television.
Thank you. The magic of television. Here we go.
Hey!
Yeah.
Somebody in the other room's like, I'll get his mug.
Yeah. That was our CEO Neil, who is just such a lovely human being. Looks after us here.
I can't believe you didn't come and say hello.
Cal an AOS mug. Would you like an Agents of Sigmar mug, Cal?
Oh, I would love one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we can sort that out.
It might not survive.
I love free stuff. I think if I've learned anything from game development, is people like free things.
Yeah. I love free stuff.
Oh yeah.
Nice try.
I'm just figuring out. Sorry. I've got some fun cards that I would like to play.
Ooh.
And so I've covered this in our previous stream as well. Our stream last week, where one of the things that got added to our game because of feedback from the community was the actual action log as well. So you'll see the little glowing things over each of the action phase circles. So that if you click that, you'll be able to actually see what's just happened as well. So that's just another little handy thing.
I've just made completely the wrong move and put the warden on guard. That is not what I wanted to do.
Oh, you silly boy.
Never mind. No one came here to watch me win.
Sometimes I do feel like for people who aren't terribly good at using the interface, you do need a little. Are you sure? You want to do that?
Yeah, there has been some talks there of like putting in confirmation turns as well, but yeah, I think it's all a learning process. This is why we have bots in, everything like that. Make sure, take your time, don't stress too much.
I think the only time when I particularly felt it was when I charged instead of attacking. I almost feel like if it knows that you could just make an attack, why would you charge? Kind of thing. It perhaps should tell you, but that, like you say, I'll get used to it. I must have just clicked on the wrong fighter and attacked him.
All right, my prince is running in.
Wow, he's
and just taking a knee because he's tired after that sprint.
Oh, is that after the sprint? That's the animation. Oh, I like that. That's cool.
So for things like when Gozag has his headbutt and things like that, so when people are stunned or exhausted from sprint, we do have a little animation like that.
Cool.
Pete trying to score Keaton guessing, Andrew says that's why you put him on guard.
Right. Well, this is the one I want. Move fighters. Right, here we go. This is how you do it.
You go. This is how you play the guard. You just move people about.
Lots of moving. Right. There we go. That was exciting. Cool. I'm back on it now, guys. I know what I'm doing. I don't, but you know, I'm pretending.
I can just see blurred figures. I've got no idea what's happening.
But you should be able to see the whole thing in the other feed, though, Robin, right? In the YouTube feed.
Oh, well, I've got that paused because of sound.
Well, if you turn the sound off.
But
yeah. So if you just right-click on the tab, you should be able to just mute the site. Watch us play.
Watch us flail at each other ineffectually.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
Trust me. I've done a few of these now. I'm picking up some tricks when it comes to online streaming. And I've been asking a lot of people for help, which is always a good thing as well.
Realised that because of my first thing that I did, I can't score one of my objectives now because I'm an idiot. So it's time to start hitting people.
If I had £1 for every time I'd heard Pete say that.
Is it March?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to tell me, but yeah, it's March, isn't it?
Yeah, it's March, yeah.
Yeah. There's been so many times where I've made that mistake as well, where I'll be all set up for March, and then I will not accidentally, but then I'll see, maybe if I revive someone, I could kill someone the next move, and then I'm just like, oh wait, I've revived them, they don't have a move token, I can't get that.
And then you stuff yourself up, yeah.
Yeah. It's always silly mistakes like that, and it always seems to be when I'm doing a stream as well.
Just concentrating on other things. I did something very, very similar at the Grand Clash. I was going to score temporary victory, only I then charged with the person off the objective. And went and said, oh, and I score temporary victory. And then my opponent said, no, you don't. It's like,
oh no, I don't.
Idiot. But in my mind, I'd already scored it and moved on to the next move, if you see what I mean.
I realised that the game I was playing against Matt earlier, sorry Matt for bringing this up again, but not only had I had horrifically brilliant dice, I also had, I think, at least 2 keys in my hand for objectives I was standing on, so I would have scored probably another 9. I could have nearly scored 20 glory from that game. That's how it was going for me.
That's just rude.
I know.
Why would you do that?
I know, it was just horrific. So I am lost as to what I want to do now.
I think you want to win. I think that's what that's called. I'm not sure. I wouldn't know.
Well, I don't try to make a habit of it during our video games. Oh, pretty.
Okay.
Oh, I've noticed the dice there is underneath the. It's underneath the sort of the move icon. I don't know if that's been reported or not.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so make sure as well, if for anyone who's watching, if you do encounter a bug, please report it. It's really, really helpful for us. But also make sure to report it as it happens, because then we'll be getting like a player log. So we'll be able to see what's actually happened in the game.
Cool.
And that helps us out quite a bit, because we've had a few people send us reports or just message us being like, hey, like, I found this bug, and we're like, great, cool. It's really hard to reproduce. If you could try to send us that information, then we'd be able to help you out a little bit more. But yeah,
that is one of the problems. I'm a tester by trade, so I'm aware that when you tell a dev this doesn't work, they don't really like that unless you can tell them how you managed to make it not work. So
yes, I think that's super helpful, especially, so my previous positions, I've done some quality assurance in the past as well. So coming to this role, I've made sure to be like, hey, like, I'll take you through, when people ask questions about like reporting bugs, I'm usually like, cool, if you have steps to reproduce, please like list that out. Also, if you have any images, that's also very helpful. And I'll just like start listing off people just like, I just want to know how to report the game in game. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Right, just trying to remember how to make sure I don't play the wrong upgrades on the wrong people here.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay.
I don't know if this is going to go on the right person, but let's do that. Just trying to play it on the wrong person. Cool, I think I'm down. No, I'm going to keep all my cards. Here we go. What have we got for round 2?
Oh, much more playing than I am, Pete.
I've just realised I've got a card. I'm like, why have I got that card?
Yeah.
I'm not going to score that.
Yeah, that's a tough score, that one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here with 4 upgrades and 0.
Oh, that's painful.
0 glory.
Ugh.
Look, it's not a stream game unless you do it terribly. So let's go.
Right, go on. You can go first. Sorry, realised I'm sitting here and it was my turn to pick someone. I'm gonna give you the first go.
Oh, good. Let's see. Let us. I'm just gonna pop the champion just over here.
We've got a question for you, Cal, from Andrew. I think I know what the answer to this is going to be, but he wants to know: Will Underworlds Online have cards from the additional card packs, like the Leaders Pack? I guess that was probably the first one, wasn't it? From Shadespire. At the end of the Shadespire season, they brought out the Leaders Pack. So will cards appear from there?
Well, yeah. So we're working from the complete, set of cards. So when it comes to everything from season 1, it's just, again, things will probably come out a little bit differently than what you expect.
And can we expect new boards and lethal hexes and things like that?
As we progress through, we'll probably be seeing more of that as well. So, hopefully, eventually when we get to things like Nightbolt, as a lot of people know, Nightbolt really changed up the game quite a bit. So hopefully when we get there, we'll be seeing some really, really cool stuff.
Excellent. It's interesting actually, because you're in quite a good position, because you can see where, certainly I know if you talk to a lot of people who played the game a lot, by the end of Nightbolt, quite a lot of them are quite jaded, because it got to the meta became very, very offensive, like almost like just chuck everything at your opponent, and there were loads and loads of surge cards, as they're called now, and you could score glory very easily without really doing very much, and you're kind of in a privileged position in the sense that you've seen that, and because you got the license to change the release schedule slightly, you can mitigate that, which is quite a nice position to be in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of one of the bigger questions that we've been getting as well is why Shadespire, and why starting back in season 1 when we're up to season 3 in the tabletop version, and it's literally one of those things of we when this game went into development, it went in at season 1. We were at the tail end of season 1, so we had to make a difficult choice there of whether or not we would try to keep up with this ever-changing game, which would have been a lot of pressure and a lot of time sink and commitment, or do we want to go with something that we know works well and is really, really fun, and then kind of just play around with some things there. And so I think we've made the right choice there, just to be able to go cool, let's go back season 1, go with what we know works, and play around with that, and make sure that people are just having fun with the game, and then having the freedom and liberty to change around the pack releases and the cards. So
I mean, I can see the appeal of people saying. I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, why doesn't it reflect the latest meta?" But I can see the appeal from that from a player's perspective. But I think it's really nice to have a slightly different version of the game to go and play anyway, because but also you're not from your guys' perspective, you're not trying to. It's bad enough for Pete and I when they do a BAR list, and we've got videos stacked up with the old list. It's like, oh great, they're kind of not redundant, but they're out of date already, and it'd be even worse for you because you'd have to, every time there's a file list, you'd have to change things, and when there's a new pack release, you'd have to chuck in all the cards, and that would be monstrous to keep up with.
Yeah, it is quite a bit, but I mean, that's why we love it as well, we love this idea of an ever-changing game and an ever-growing game. So we hope that people see it and really appreciate what we're trying to do here in that respect as well. We want to emulate we want to emulate that kind of tabletop fun of just what's coming next and everything like that. So yeah.
I have to say, I haven't really played a proper computer game for about 20 years, so it's like I'm trying to remember how it all works. But it's because the game is good enough to warrant sort of saying to my wife, actually, no, I'm going to go and play a computer. And so it's
anything you can roll, I can roll just as bad there, Cal. There we go.
Yeah, thank you. This is high octane action.
It is, yeah. I do like the fact that...
I'm terrible with the interface. Sorry, Pete. I'm terrible with the interface because it's so long since I played a computer game. I'm pressing the keys and trying to remember where they are, shooting forward across the board and shooting backwards. But I'll get there. I'm showing my age.
I guess one thing that's quite good is that when you do get to a point where if you ever do get to a point where you're quite up to speed with the tabletop version, is if GW do release a new file list or whatever, on bar list or whatever they want to call it, for you guys it's going to be I assume a fairly easy sort of patch to just mark certain cards as restricted or barred or something like that. I mean, I'm saying this with zero idea of how you got it set up, but I mean, surely it's just all databases, right? So how hard can that be?
I mean, I'm definitely not gonna say anything about that when it comes to, oh, well, that should be easy, you should be able to do that. I'm just I'm shaking my head going no, there's so many factors that we can't go into, but it's mostly I think when we get up to there, I think we're just excited. I think that will really help drive development as well. I think people will see that as we go along, especially we've been getting a lot of feedback from our launch last week, and now that we've been able to adapt and change up the game a little bit already in a week, I think people will get really excited to see what's coming next. And I think as we go along, people will see that passion from our development team as well.
Have you got many players who've come in without any Underworlds experience? Or is
we've had quite a few. We've had a few people come in and say, this is my first time playing or whatever. And yeah, it's been getting good feedback in that respect as well. For some people, it is quite as we know, it's quite a complex kind of system and game. But I think over early access, we're going to be working on that kind of readability and entry level kind of thing for the game, where people will be able to come in and go like, oh, okay, so this is how I play the game. But yeah, we just don't want it to be too daunting. Hey.
No. And again, that's another good reason not to release 3 seasons all at once.
Yeah, exactly. And that, like, trying to explain how, you know, attacks and charge work is one thing, but putting magic on top of that and lethal hexes and everything else, it's quite a complex system. So I think
it is
adding them like in progression with new systems, I think that will be really, really helpful. And especially as the community grows and everyone's already like looking after each other so much in the Discord, when new people jump in and go like, I don't quite understand the game, that people are sending links and doing explanations and like doing card breakdowns and stuff like that. It's really, really great to see.
Yeah. I mean, the community is lovely, and it's so nice at events. I mean, Pete and I, when we're playing on our Wednesday nights, we often kind of like help each other if you know, we're trying to work out what the best placement is for things like Snurk when you're.
Usually it's me showing you how to use Snurk.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, but I said to Pete, I need to I have to stop you from doing that, because when I go to the Grand Clash, my opponent isn't going to do that for me. But actually, my opponent did in a couple of games, because it's just such a nice community feel. It's kind of like we all want nobody. Well, I feel with Underworlds, nobody wants to win, or nobody I've played wants to win because their opponent made a silly mistake or they missed something.
Yeah.
You know you've played the best that they can, and everybody helps out everybody else with what they can do. Like, nobody really minds too much if you've forgotten to score an objective that you had in your hand. I think I forgot to score Martyred in one of my games, and I said, "Oh, do you mind?" A couple of turns later, and they said, "Oh no, you died first, you can score it," kind of thing. And that's really nice. Whereas I think there are other games where that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people really enjoy how tactical the game is, and it's that thing where people want to win because of the tactics, and they don't want to win because someone made a mistake. They want to win because they want to feel like they've not bested someone, but it's been a proper match. It's that classic thing of like why people fight in general when it comes to martial arts, things like that. It's about pride and glory and all that kind of stuff, but it's also working with someone in a set of rules that it's somewhat fun. It's an odd sensation and a weird human condition that it's like an agreement of just like, these are the rules, let's see how we go, and then whoever's the winner, congratulations. It's good.
We've got some questions about the pricing structure, which I know you probably can't say too much about. So you've got the flat game at the moment, which is about, I think it's £28 and $40 Australian. One of our Australian patrons has said. Somebody else is a subscription, but it's not a subscription. That's just one-off. That gets you the base game, doesn't it? Am I right in thinking that all Universal cards will come in that as they're released?
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's just a pay once premium game of you'll get the warbands that we're starting out with, and then throughout the life cycle of the game, we'll be dropping universal cards, which will be, as we know, big game changes once we start releasing those. And then additional warbands in the future will be paid DLC.
Okay, and somebody's got DLC ? No idea. So that's a what does DLC stand for? My mind's gone blank.
Downloadable content. Right,
downloadable content. There you go. So I'm guessing you're going to say you don't know at the moment, or you can't tell us at the moment. Do you know roughly how much the ballpark figure for a warband will be when they're released?
I can't give figures, but we think people will find it reasonable.
Good.
Yes.
I'm glad you're not planning to make it unreasonable. That's good.
Yeah, that's right. That's
always a good
not
model.
Our intention. We want people to play the game. But I mean, in relation to that as well, though, like when it comes to warbands and factions and things like that, when people do like traditionally, sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm trying to play the game now.
Pete's paying extra to ask difficult questions at the crucial stage.
Yeah, I can see that tactic. So when people purchase the tabletop game and get their warbands, it comes with your miniatures, it comes with the universal cards and faction cards. So our universal cards won't be involved in those kind of faction packs. It will just be like when the warbands come out, they'll be coming with their faction cards. So
Sure.
you won't have to be waiting for Eyes of the Nine to get a particular universal card. That universal card might come out before. You never know.
Brilliant.
Okay. Accidentally
Somebody did ask a question, and I think you sort of covered it earlier, but I'll ask it again because it's phrased slightly differently. Will there be any plans to do some of the alternative modes that have popped up in White Dwarf? So I think one Christmas they did the Gargant mode where you can fight a giant, which I think would be entirely cool to be able to try and sort that out, play that.
Yeah, so game modes and everything, we've seen a lot of feedback from the community about wanting different modes and things like that. We do have plans when it comes to other things. So you might have seen last year when we did Skulls for the Skull Throne. So that was kind of like an in-game event. Obviously, the game wasn't out at that stage, but we were doing testing and everything. But we were playing with different skins for the board and things like that. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do cool stuff like that for events really and stuff in the future.
Yeah. Now everybody just seems to be talking about dinosaurs, which I'm not quite sure why. Well, I took my off the stream for 2 seconds and everybody's talking about dinosaurs.
I think someone said something about they're a dinosaur with regards to online games. So.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur compared with online games. Okay, there was a really good question way back up here, actually. I've forgotten it to ask it, which I guess ties into what you just said about the board. Somebody asked about basically, will there be...
They asked about lethal, whether we're going to get the boards with the lethal hexes.
No, that wasn't it.
Okay.
Sorry. It was to do with any plans for special rewards like paint jobs in ranked matches and tournaments, or maybe even achievements. So a question way back at the beginning of the stream.
Way back at the beginning of the stream. So if that's a question in relation of just like, is that specifically ranked stuff and rewards and everything like that, we haven't really disclosed any of that information yet when it comes to reward systems. Again, we do...
Well, if you want to get it off your chest.
No, but it's definitely one of those things of just like, we have ideas and plans, nothing I can disclose as of yet of how things will look, but we've got ideas.
Okay, and then somebody else, VJ asked this twice now, so he must really want to know is will there be the original question was to do with cutscenes and cinematic elements. Will there be some cutscenes and cinematic elements in the game, such as faction lore in cutscenes?
Oh, I would love that, honestly. Why are you scoring all these things, Pete? How dare you're supposed to let me win. We all get ready for this. No, I would love to see cinematics. Cinematics is something that I really, really enjoy. Whether or not that's something that is possible is completely out of my field of expertise. But I already enjoy zooming in as close as I can and seeing the models and stuff like that. But I don't think I can disclose anything like that yet. Sorry.
That's fair enough.
Absolutely smashing there, not wishing to rub it in. Yeah.
I was a bit lucky. I was a bit lucky there. I think some of my cards, and I got 3. That's the classic. We probably both had Supremacy at some point. I don't see if you had already discarded it or not.
Yeah, I had Supremacy at the start, so I was just like, oh, that's too far away. I'm not going to hold on to this. Oof. And
Claim the City. That's a brave one.
Yeah, and Claim the City as well, which was annoying. And then I kept trying to get that denial at the end. I was hoping, and then I had March of the Dead, so I was just like, well, I can claim that at least. And then I ran out of fighters, so yeah, it was not a good time, but it's fine.
VJ says, seems like a no-brainer to him, considering you already have the 3D assets. But thank you for the answer.
Just saying, just saying. Hashtag. Well, so. Anybody who's not seen the game, that is a very quick, simple version of the game. We didn't play the most brutal of warbands there. We weren't chopping each other to pieces loads. But that was a nice little intro, I think, and we showed off a few of the cars, a few of the abilities, and we got Sepulchral Guard on Sepulchral Guard, which I am always happy with. So,
and it does look and feel great, doesn't it, when you're playing? I think
does.
it is. I mean, it's funny enough. I enjoy it. As I said this already tonight, but I really enjoy the fact that it's slightly simpler. You haven't got to worry about lethal hexes. And Andrew says bug report Pete 1, and it's just really nice to go back and play Shadespire again.
Yeah, we're enjoying a lot of this as well. Just going to a simpler time.
And I think it is worth realizing as well that someone's just mentioned in the chat that it's a low scoring game, but it's a season 1 sort of game as well. And looking back at some of the games we played in season 1, we'd score like 8 versus 10 glory, and we'd be sitting there going, wow, that was a really good game, we scored loads. And these days, like, if you don't score 10 glory in the first round, you're like, something's gone horribly wrong here. What's going on?
I mean, a cool feature that I just want to kind of shout out as well, which I don't think a lot of people have been noticing. Pete, if you want to jump to, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you jump to, I've just closed the Skype thing, that's why I was asking.
Oh, okay.
Jump into the deck editor, and you'll be able to actually look through. And if you go to the objectives, you can actually see how the potential score of the glory right next to it. So you'll have objectives, 12 out of 12, and then you'll see the, for me, it's 23. But if you change around your objectives in there, it will actually go up and down just to show you what's your potential glory win, which is, again, one of those small features that I don't think gets enough love. But it's just for me, it's just what's the risk and reward of it all? For me, I love Denial and Conquest, right? And they're high scoring cards, but then, do I want to go in with so many high scoring glory that I actually achieve it?
To find Conquest and Denial is a bit of a mugs game. It's one or the other.
It's going to be tricky.
Raises an interesting question. I think I saw Jonathan Davis of Well of Power talking about this. Are there going to be the opportunity in future to drill down into some of the stats? I mean, what would be really interesting, for example, I've just thought of, would be if you could see how many times you'd taken a card in a game and how many times you'd actually scored it, so you could see whether actually a card was as good as you thought it was.
Yes, yeah. So in retaining that kind of stats and information, I think it would be really, really cool as well. So I mean, all this feedback is great. So make sure to let us know about that. I'll be writing that down as well. But so
because the statistics community of Underworlds is huge. I'm sort of vaguely interested in it, but there's people like Jonathan and Stephen Van, who does the Call It Shadespire.
Oh, hold on. We might have lost sound, yes.
Yeah.
How about now, guys? Hopefully you're back. I think I didn't change that. I don't know why that's changed. I did change scene settings, and maybe it lost the... hopefully it's back anyway.
And that's the next warband.
That is amazing. Wow, I never saw that coming.
It's really brave that you've gone with that approach, and frankly, I think a lot of people are going to hate it, but I think overall people are going to love that you've done that. So,
who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I'm not sure the decision to put trousers on the chosen axes was a good one, though.
They're just catching up now in the stream. They're going to be like, "What? What was it?" So hopefully, you guys at home enjoyed watching that one, and hopefully, Cal, you enjoyed coming along, and you might come back at some point in the future.
Yeah, no, I loved being on. Obviously, as well, make sure to anyone watching, you can always jump into our Discord as well and check out all our socials as well, and reach out. We want to hear from you, what you want from the game, everything like that. I'm going to be trying to stream more regularly as well, as we're doing updates, just play games with everyone. Now with the codes and like seeing friends going in. So, I can actually challenge people in the community, which will be a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure one of our community members, Jasan, I played against them last week on stream, and they're already wanting a rematch. So, very excited about that. He's called me out, so need
Well, I
to get on
definitely
that.
think, and I don't know if anybody's around that wasn't around earlier, but you mentioned the fact that you'll be able to have those match codes so that you can set up that match with someone and go, here's the code, we'll meet online tonight at 10 o'clock or whatever, and you're going to go online, you can meet that person, you can play that person specifically.
I've fallen foul of that sort of thing
Sorry?
in the past. I'm not going to be. I've fallen foul of that sort of thing in the past. I'm not going to be burned
Yeah, but
again.
Robin, this time it's not down that back road where there's no street lights.
Oh, okay.
So
they said they needed the money to get out of the country or something. I don't know.
So there was one other question that was asked that I didn't ask earlier from one of our patrons. It fallen off my list, so I was just going to throw that one out now, if that's okay. One of our players, his poor little iMac struggles to pull 30 FPS because obviously it's not an optimized graphical gaming machine. Obviously it's a Mac, so I'm guessing he's probably running it in some kind of WinBoot system as well. So, but he wondered if there's going to be any plans to run like a much lower res version of the game. He says when he drops the graphics down, obviously things like the card text becomes illegible because of the graphics gets so low. But you wonder if there's going to be like a low graphic version. I mean, we've just been screaming about how awesome the graphics look in the game, and I love them. But if you're in a situation where you can't necessarily handle it, is there a plan to do like a low power version at all?
When it comes to optimization and compatibility, that's always going to be, a big talking point when it comes into games and everything. We obviously can't cater to everyone because, they might be having a problem with the lower end machine. We also have people complaining that we don't have widescreen support of, 21 ratio, things like that. It's both ends. So at this stage, like, it's one of those things that we can keep in mind and see if there's demand for that kind of thing. But yeah, it's not something that I think I could really talk confidently about at this stage.
I guess that's something which in the future, if you ever do manage to get it into like an app version for iPads or anything like that, that problem goes away then, because obviously tablets, iPads, once you get a certain point, as long as they're not too old, then generally they'll play on it. But that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, and a whole new problems arise from that. Just I've worked on a few different games and for other companies in the past, and just when people port to, say, Android, it's all the feedback is just like, it's not working on my phone. It's like, well, it's because you haven't updated your phone in like 5 years. And yeah, and this is like a high graphics performing game, and they're just like, why does it work on my phone? It's like, well, if you looked, it doesn't actually meet minimum requirements. So there's only so much I can do for you.
And if you do cater to them, people at the other end of the spectrum will go, why can't I have the most ridiculous high-end graphics possible, because I've got my water-cooled ridiculous system and I want to use it all. So
BJ says as long as you're giving 9% of the people 9% of what they need, then
90% might be a bit high, maybe 60-ish% of the people.
I mean, 60. I want to just give people the full experience of playing the game. That would be nice. So I think that's a good starting point for us, is just getting people in and playing and enjoying and talking about the game. We've had some really, really nice reviews as well, which has been really, really lovely. People understand that we're a smaller company as well. We're not a huge AAA studio, so we're trying our best to produce high quality content, which is really, really amazing to see, and Australian based as well. So on the other side of the world, when problems come in, there's someone waking up at 2 a.m. going like, what's happening? But it's good fun. We love it. It's so
So
good.
hopefully we can have you back maybe in a few weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks time. You can talk about any new stuff that's coming along. We can maybe have a rematch, or possibly if Robin runs things, then maybe he'll give you a match. We need to get Robin set up. We did buy new machines specifically for this game.
To play this, I haven't bought a new PC in
but
years.
we bought new Uber gaming machines for this. Paid for from our...
Yeah, how are they running?
Yeah, they're going okay actually. I mean,
they're good.
Our machines aren't ridiculous. They're not bad by any stretch. They're not ridiculous, and it runs. I mean, I'm streaming and I was playing and everything, and that was all looking fine. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Mine feels like it's rather like going to the shops in a Lamborghini. Actually, the amount I use it for. But anyway, we have got a slightly one final question is from not if it's final, but EWM board gamer likes the look of the online, but he wonders whereabouts in Australia you're from, because he lived there down under for 7 years and he misses it.
Well, we miss you. We're Melbourne based here, so down in Victoria. So pardon me. We're based out of a building called the Arcade as well. So the Arcade, for those people who don't know, is kind of like a gaming hub in Melbourne where there's multiple gaming studios about in the one building, and so it's quite a collaborative space where, you know, if someone's having issues or something like that, you know, they can't figure out a particular problem, you can usually walk around the building and be able to find someone who would like quite happily help you out, you know, whether or not it's a, you know, question about how to use Unity, or it's a question about, you know, what's the best thing for when it comes to social marketing. There's usually someone in the building who'll be able to help you out. So it's a really, really good space for us.
So EWO says he used to live in Gladesville, which I assume might mean something to you. And VJ says, he's a Mexican, which I don't know whether that means anything to you or not. But
not sure what that means. But he said he was Sydney-based before, so I'm just like, okay, that's two different things, but all right.
It's a bit like us living south of London, and people going, "Oh, you in Nottingham?" Like, sort of.
Comparatively, on Australian terms.
In American or Australian terms.
Getting back to the PC talk as well, just to kind of like peel back the veil for some of your viewers. I remember us all messaging, being like, talking about your computers, because you were just like, hey, so like what computers would we need to be able to run this game? And I just remember going like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Because again, early days where I was just like, oh, who are these guys? And then it's just like, started watching your videos and stuff like that. I'm just like, yeah, cool. Like, I think it's really important to have like good equipment, especially if you're going to be streaming as well. You need a higher end computer, or just a computer that will be able to stream at the same time and do all that. I always forget, because I'm quite lucky with my little gaming laptop, but it's a work laptop, so I have to be very precious and look after it. But I'm really, really glad that it's all working out.
Yeah, well, we are too, because it means we can play this and we'll be able to stream all over the place. Robin's hoping to stream some games during the daytime UK time.
I am. Pete's going to teach you what to do, and then I'm gonna start doing it, because I'm at home in the daytime, so I can do the odd game here and there. So hopefully we can do that. And VJ says, Unity Hut. So is UWO built in Unity?
Yes, it is. It is a Unity build.
Now somebody online mentioned Unity.
That means nothing to me.
What is Unity?
Okay.
So Unity is a game building engine. So think of it like there are different ones. So there's Unity, there's Unreal, that some people would be more familiar with. But yeah, so Unity, essentially, you've got a lot you can do with it. You can, you know, code out of it. You can do 3D modeling and things like that. It does have a lot of dexterity where you can work with other applications. Some people like to model in Maya and then maybe bring that over to Unity. It's very, very versatile gaming.
You've impressed VJ anyway. He says it's very cool. So
somebody online basically said at one point, they went, well, how much does a Unity license cost? I think they were basically saying, I think the implication there was, if you built it in Unity, then surely you can port it to other platforms. But I don't know if I...
Yeah, so Unity does have porting options. Obviously, there's just a whole bunch of other things that go with porting the system. But it does have porting options available. But then as well, there was another question in amongst that I wanted to answer. but it's completely gone, so it's okay.
Familiar with that. Familiar with that. Yeah, had a thing I was going to say. It's gone completely. Don't know what I was talking about anymore. VJ is a motion graphics artist, so he says he's done stuff in Unity, or to do with interactive stuff in Unity before. So he's offered to edit our videos in the past, but I'm afraid we can't afford him. So I mean, he would make our videos.
Don't make quite enough.
He would make our videos look incredible,
Yeah,
but unfortunately, don't get much money from streaming these days, sadly.
No. It's one of those platforms where it's very fun to do and quite popular, and that's why a lot of people are doing it. For us, it is a good means to update everyone and show off the game. But yeah, it's whenever I've asked or talked about streaming in the office, I'm so happy that I get to do it, because I love to be able to play the game and show it off, and then also connect with people. So this has been a really, really great opportunity for me in general. But it's been really, really good to showcase the game, because I think the game's great, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't think it was good, and I wouldn't be working with this team if I didn't think it was good. And for a lot of people as well, they know that this game's only going to get better. And so we just wanted to say a big thank you to anyone who's like supporting us by purchasing the game in early access and there for the long haul to see how it's just going to get better. I'm so excited.
I don't know about Robin, but frankly, I love Underworlds, and this is going to give me a chance to be able to play Underworlds online against other people. So Robin and I, we play against each other all the time. This will give us a chance to be able to play our Patreon supporters, our YouTube watchers, you guys maybe on various points, and it's just going to open up that to everybody, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as I get more familiar with the interface and everything, the fact games get faster and faster, we could play more and more. It'd be really good. VJ wants to try again. VJ wants you to do a Blitz Bowl online version. He's a big Blood Bowl Blitz Bowl fan.
Blitz Bowl. I mean, that was simpler, right? I don't know. Actually, no, it's probably a lot harder. But yeah, again, I'm going to use my QA brain when I say easy. Surely that's easy. It's just some graphics and some databases, right?
It's just all databases. That's what I've learned tonight.
Yeah.
I take anything away from this, it's all databases. Cal's rolling his eyes.
I've got to get off this stream.
I'm just.
Right, it's 11:30 here. It might be time for me to go to bed.
I think we're going to have to call it there. But thank you everybody for signing in, for following along. Thank you to Cal for coming on the channel and giving us some semblance of credibility.
Thank you for having me on. Hopefully we'll be able to keep you updated. And for anyone else who's interested, jumping in, we're live now on early access. You can find us on Steam. I'm going to be streaming every now and again on the Steel Sky Productions Twitch channel, and on YouTube, and on our Steam store page as well. So be sure to check us out over there.
Yes, and for everybody who's following us, do follow us, do give us a like on the video, all that good stuff. And I think now, as soon as that patch comes out where we'll be able to set up games against individuals, we're definitely going to have to run a Patreon league and see what we can get going there as well.
Oh yeah, I want to be a part of that as well. You will
definitely be a part of that one, don't you worry. That will definitely be happening. So there you go. If you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to be able to get to play Cal along with Robin and I at various points. So yeah, loving the game, loving the whole thing. So hope it goes from strength to strength.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool. So
cheers,
thank
guys.
you, Cal, for coming on board. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. And hopefully we can make this a semi-regular thing, maybe every 2-3 weeks. 3-4 weeks, whatever, something like that. However much Cal wants to put up with us. So we'll see you.
Patreon league.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.